Good morning, everybody. Or it might be evening where you're at. So today I was looking through a few things, getting ready, and I came across some really wonderful information that I thought it would be nice to share with everybody at home. So most of you know that I studied for a lot of years the science and the methodology of Ayurvedic wellness or Ayurvedic medicine. And I remember one of the classes that I took, we had Dr. Anu, and she gave us the presentation for the day and all the information. And one of the things that she impressed upon us as a class was that during different times of life, whether we're well or whether there is chaos and problems, we should always take into consideration each person around us and our own prakriti, or our constitutional makeup. So in Ayurveda, if you've read or studied, you know that we have a physical fabric or physical makeup. And some of us are made of more Pitta, some are made and influenced more by Vata or Kapha. Morning, Carmen. But one thing that was really stressed is that each of us have a mental constitution also. So some of us are a little bit more Pitta in the mind. So we tend to get hot under the collar and aggravated and irritated and angry, sometimes even violent in times of stress. And people who are more Vata constitution in the mind or Vata imbalanced in the mind, they have more symptoms of wind issues. And so they get kind of spaced out and forgetful, and they have kind of windy mind symptoms. Whereas Kapha mind influence is seen by kind of a slowness, a withdrawal, maybe depression or isolation. So in class, one of the things that Dr. Anu really impressed on me that day is she said that when we're in times of change, in times of adaptation, in times of stress, that each of us may demonstrate our own natural mind qualities, and for us to recognize that in each other and to not be upset with each other. So for instance, somebody who's Vata mental prakriti or vikruti, maybe it's out of balance, if you put them in a time of stress, they'll become very forgetful, spacey, maybe kind of hyperactive, and to not be angry at these people for it, and to recognize this is their current elemental balance. Because in Ayurveda, we know we have 5 elements. We have the earth, water, space, air, and fire. And so people who have a naturally more prakriti mind, that is Pitta, or fire element, if they become agitated or undergo stress or have to undergo adaptation, as we all are right now, they can get really fussy and fast-tempered and nasty and aggressive and critical. Recognize that in them, not as something they're doing against you, but as something that is their natural imbalance, and try to support them. Somebody who has a Kapha mind naturally, or maybe a little imbalanced, under times of stress and adaptation, they may become very isolated, very depressed, quiet, heavy, start overeating. So instead of seeing it as something we should take personal, oh, look at how they're acting towards me. Look at how they're behaving between them and I. Instead, recognize that perhaps this is their constitution and their natural way of coping and adapting, and be patient with them. So I wanted to talk just for a few moments that when people are Vata imbalanced, so that would be the real hyperactive and kind of like forgetful and spacey, if that's an imbalance, support them with, warm waters, a warm massage, a warm bath, hot foods, and grounding. The Pitta person, well, if they're getting all cray and they're getting mean and aggressive, you might want to back up a little bit and give them some space. Fire needs space to be aired out. But then maybe encourage something cool and calming. And the Kapha person, when they go inward like a cocoon, if they become depressed at this time of the adaptation session we're in, encourage them to move, get them walking. So this morning I pulled out one of my books, and it's by the author or group of authors. Some of the information is still contested, but anyways, it's a book called Charaka Samhita, and it's one of the traditional texts from Ayurveda. And one of the chapters is just on the 5 types of insanity. And I thought that would be a great subject to talk about. I pulled out a few of the things. I planned a little bit more today what I wanted to talk about, but still at the last minute, so it's very informal. So in Charaka Samhita, they talk about the 5 forms of insanity. Some people at home right now are feeling maybe a little bit insane, and that's okay. So why I wanted to bring this up is the first manifestation or the first origin of insanity, according to the book Charaka Samhita, or the author Charaka, is Vata Imbalance. Vata Imbalance being due to ahara and vihara, food and lifestyle. So if the person's been eating dry, cold, flaky, rough foods and being cold or maybe skipping meals, that can manifest as one of the official forms of insanity. So when Vata vitiates the mind channels, it becomes severe. Well, you can guess the second form of insanity in Charaka Samhita is Pitta Imbalance in the mind channels. So Pitta becomes so aggravated in the body that it goes through the heart center and causes vitiation of the mind. And so this heat element, due to improper diet and lifestyle, causes insanity, Pitta-ja insanity. And then, of course, the third is Kapha. Too much gooey cake and candy and overindulgence and not enough exercise and movement. This can build up so severely from diet and lifestyle that we get a form of Kapha-ja insanity. So if you haven't had a chance and some of these words and terms seem a little bit like, what is she talking about? You can go to my website, healthiervibrations.com, and I've got some real simple, easy to read articles on Vata, Pitta, Kapha, what are the foods and lifestyles. So I encourage you to just keep a check. And I know a lot of you are my Ayurvedic students and really pay mindful attention. Now you want to know what the 4th and 5th forms of insanity are, I'm sure, because I mentioned 5. The 4th form of insanity is Vata, Pitta, and Kapha become so aggravated and vitiated in the body that they invade the fine mind channels and cause a tridoshic form of insanity. And in the books they say this is incurable. And then the 5th one is from outside sources like rakshas and entities. But that's a subject for a whole nother day. So I was going through some of my information here, and I've been really paying a lot of attention to just going back to the basics. Just the basics. You know, in times of adaptation, you go back to your roots. You go back to your basics. So I pulled out some old readings from my particular guru, who is Adi Shakti Ma in India. And these are some of the readings that I reminded myself of today. Now remember, we were talking about insanity and how it vitiates the mind channels. And in order to get proper control of yourself and of your life, you have to clear your mind. Shut down that monkey mind, that wild chariot that's been ripped down the trail out of check. So meditation is very beneficial at this time of year when we're going through so much change. So I'm just going to read what I pulled out of my file. And this is from my guru. How do we meditate? We converge our mind and our hearts towards our third eye center and use, I'll have to paraphrase some things because some of these are just aimed towards her initiates. We have to use our mental ability or our identification with holy names to connect to the divine light and the power of God. Now, of course, I'm going to use the word God because that's what's written here, but you have all your own definitions and identifications depending on your culture and your religion of what your understanding of God is. So when we meditate, it helps to enlighten our inner self and to purify our outer person we see with our eyes. While meditating, we should keep our mind calm and concentrate at the third eye to experience the center planes and power within. We should bring our meditation level where this divine energy is revealed inside of us. So I've been really enjoying this particular book, the 112 Meditations. And so today I wanted to read the 33rd meditation from this book. And of course it ties into the 34th. Dissolving the Levels of the Universe is what it's titled. Meditate on the universe and its evolution through time and space. Gradually dissolve the physical into the subtle level and the subtle into the transcendent until your mind dissolves. I'm going to read that again. Meditate on the universe and its evolution through time and space, gradually dissolving the physical into the subtle level and the subtle into the transcendent until your mind dissolves. And the commentary says, here we meditate on the course of evolution of the universe through time and space, reversing the order of creation by gradually moving our awareness from the physical level to the subtle level, then all the way back to the source, prior to creation. The experience becomes increasingly more subtle, and finally, the mind dissolves as well, and all that is left is the experience of pure consciousness. This meditation begins with our focus on the physical aspects of the universe. Once this is fully and vividly present in our senses, then we shift our attention to the subtle or energetic level of reality. Just knowing that there is a subtle, energetic dimension to the world we usually perceive helps us begin to engage our contemplative mind and our inner senses that are able to tune into this level of reality. It goes on to say, this energetic experience of reality requires an extension of our awareness into this dimension. I'm going to say that again. This energetic experience of reality requires an extension of our awareness into this dimension, the subtle dimension. As we begin to experience reality at this level, our corresponding sense of self becomes less dense as well. It becomes intermingled with what we are experiencing. We begin to feel a sense of being a part of what ordinarily appears to us as separate, as being other than us. From this perspective, we then meditate directly on the unity of all that exists. As we do this, our individual sense of self gradually dissolves into the experience of oneness. We are in the non-dual state of pure awareness and being, a state in which there is no longer any separation from what we experience. This meditation can be done with eyes open as a direct seeing exercise or as a contemplative exercise with eyes closed. So it goes on to describe this practice, which you can do at any time. Practice dissolving the levels of the universe. Contemplate the physical universe and its extraordinary manifest nature. Engage all your physical senses. Let yourself experience the immensity. Once you're ready, shift your attention to the subtle, energetic level of what appears as physical reality. Feel the dream-like nature of this dimension, where time and space often become more fluid, where energy is pulsing and undulating in and out of fields of potential. Hold this focus until your intuitive perception of this dimension and your corresponding inner senses begin to engage, allowing you to experience the universe at this level. Let your awareness extend out into this dimension. Notice the softening and dissolving of your separate sense of self as you begin to intermingle with your experience of the subtle world of energy. When you're ready, penetrate even more deeply into your experience until you touch the dimension of pure being. All sense of separation and differentiation dissolve here into the sublime, non-dual oneness. Now, if you want to try that at home later, you can. But there's a second part of it, the 34th meditation, that can build upon it. So I'll read them both together. Travel back in creation to before time is what it's titled. Using the previous meditation on the physical, subtle, and transcendent levels to arrive at the highest consciousness, contemplate that sublime principle as being present in all directions at every level of the universe. And the commentary. In this meditation, we take the exquisite sense of oneness that we arrived at in the last meditation, and we contemplate that principle as being present in all directions, in all dimensions, throughout the entire universe. We become anchored in pure being, and then feel that same experience to be present in all directions, in all dimensions of reality. This is a powerful and beautiful way of engaging the non-dual state in which we experience no difference between being in ourselves and being in what we perceive. The beauty of this meditation is that we begin to blend into each other like great rivers, merging, carrying everything back to the same source. So it encourages meditating on being the universe. Meditate on the physical and subtle levels of the universe until you arrive at the experience of pure being. Once your awareness is steady in the feeling of pure being, contemplate this sublime principle as being present in all directions, in all dimensions of the universe. The being in you is the same being that is in all things in the universe. You and the universe are one, and you are the universe. So I was reading that over today, and I asked myself, how could we apply that to our current time of adaptation? And I'm really going to leave that up to you, because I'm not one to tell you what to do or what to think. However, this is a time I will again remind us all, watch your P's and Q's. Watch what you're eating, because when you create disease in yourself, you create disease in the universe. Watch what you're consuming mentally, because that must be digested through your mind channels. And if you don't digest it properly, you create mental toxins, a backup, like mental constipation. And when you create that imbalance, you create imbalance in all things. And as you quiet and steady your mind, go for a walk, read nice books, sing a song, help out your neighbor, help out your friends, you're creating peace and harmony in the universe. But again, I'll go back to what we talked about in the very beginning of this discussion. The fact that we all have a natural tendency in our minds towards maybe becoming Pitta imbalanced mentally, Vata or Kapha imbalanced mentally. And that when we become Kapha imbalanced mentally, due to eating too much Kapha foods or Kapha lifestyles, you could go back and read my blog on Healthier Vibrations if this is new to you. And that if you recognize one of your friends or family slipping down that slippery slope of Kapha, mental, mind channel clogging, or even towards that insanity level of Kapha insanity, to encourage them to move more, support them, get them activated and eating differently. If you have a friend who's getting a little Pitta imbalanced because of this adaptation period, encourage them to back away from the spicy foods, to back away from the Pitta aggravating activities. Don't take it personally. They're probably going to lash out, be a little cranky pants and hot under the collar. They might start looking inflamed with some inflammations on their skin, maybe complaining of heartburn. Don't take it personally. Just say to yourself, this is where this person is at. My mom always said, keep your own side of the street clean. But when your side of the street is clean and organized, you can help your friends stay in balance. And if you've got a friend who is more Vataja tendency in the mind, and they're forgetting things, or there's just a lot going on right now in the entire collective. So be real patient with each other. Be loving with each other. Don't take any of it personally. Take it as an opportunity to hold space for your friends and your families. Take it as an opportunity to not be like, oh my gosh, you're Kapha aggravated. Don't label people, because that hurts even more. So that being said, I think that's all I have to say. I encourage you to be doing daily meditation, even if that's just waking up early in the morning and going out, watching the sun come up, contemplating on the beauty of life, contemplating everything you're grateful for. When's the last time you sat down and wrote a list of everything you're grateful for? When's the last time you sat down and wrote a list of all the people in your life you're grateful for? I don't want to be a doomsdayer, but we want to show appreciation and gratitude while we have the opportunity. I wrote in one of my recent blogs the nature of death and suffering, and that it's important to realize that nothing is permanent. Everything is always going to change. And it's up to us to be as highly adaptive as possible. No matter what the circumstances, no matter how wonderful it is, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how much you have or no matter how much is taken away. The key to health is, can you adapt? Can you adapt with graciousness and ease? Sure, you can throw yourself on the floor and cry a while and fuss and go for a run. Do something good for yourself. We're all going to have emotions. But just double check too if those emotions are food driven or lifestyle driven. And if you see somebody else exhibiting a lot of fluctuations as they're trying to find equilibrium and adapt, be there to support them. All right. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I haven't even decided what I'm going to do yet today. I'm not leaving the house. I have some checks to write. Oh, I have a outline I'm going to put together. If you're home tomorrow, I'm going to be on a live Zoom call with one of my colleagues, Craig Williams, and we're going to discuss the supramental consciousness in writings of Sri Aurobindo. So if you want, you can join us live for that on a Zoom call. You can go to my profile and find the link. I'll probably post something about it today. I know for sure what I'm going to do today is I'm going to lift my weights. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to eat healthy. And I'm going to wish you all well. Namaste, everybody.